Thanks, Daniela. I'm joined by Grand Rapids Griffins general manager and the Detroit Red Wings assistant general manager, Ryan Martin, following the unfortunate news of the American Hockey League season being canceled. I know that what to do with the AHL season has been in talks for quite some time now. What was the ultimate decision maker to cancel the season?
Well, we have been in, we've had a number of conference calls throughout the pause, and certainly Dave Andrews and the leadership group at the American Hockey League had been in constant communication with Bill Daly and Gary Bettman and talking to the NHL folks. And at the end of the day, the American League model is a little bit different, obviously, than the NHL at the minor league level. It's heavily dependent on gate receipts, and they just felt that it would not really be practical nor possible in many cases to conclude the regular season and then play playoffs. And so ultimately, the decision was made to cancel the remainder of the regular season and Calder Cup playoffs.
So how much do you think the season cancellation means for the development of these players, especially the younger guys?
Yeah, that's a great question, Carley. With having so many first-year players down in Grand Rapids, certainly as a staff, Steve Eiserman, Pat Verbeek, myself, the player development staff, we were looking forward to watching these players in the playoffs, and that's really unfortunate. Putting aside obviously the health and well-being of the players and the spectators takes precedence, but if you look beyond that to the hockey decisions. Not having the opportunity to potentially play in the playoff games, I think is certainly something that's a detriment to their development. But really, I guess fortunately, I think we're in one of the top two divisions in the league. The American Hockey League is heavily divisional play, and I'd say going back to about early to mid-November. I felt we were in playoff games almost every night. The first 30 days of the season or so, Iowa and Milwaukee kind of ran away with first and second place. And then after that, there was 6 teams that were competing for 2 playoff spots. And when you go 10, 11, 12 games at a time within your division, those games are basically playoff games. So I was talking to Ben Simon last week, and we were remarking just about that very fact. Despite the fact we're not going to be able to play playoffs, I think going back to certainly mid-November-ish, those were playoff type games. So it's great that Sider and Veleno and Michael Rasmussen and others down there got the taste of playing in those types of meaningful games. Although it's not the same as playoffs, there's certainly something to be said for that level of competition night in and night out.
So I'll also have to ask you, how will this affect the Detroit Red Wings team with a handful of the Griffins players having gone back and forth between the two clubs?
Well, looking forward, certainly in the short term, if the NHL season does resume, some of those players might have the opportunity to come up and finish out the year with us. From a bigger picture thing, I know our player development staff, Sean Horkoff and his group have been in constant communication with the prospects. We did our player exit meetings back in mid-April, which would have coincided with the typical end of the regular season in the American League, because we felt we wanted to keep these players on an appropriate development timeline so their training would be in line with where it was supposed to be. So I think that's important. And then certainly looking forward to next year, we had great exit meetings with a lot of the young players. I know Mo Sider, his motivation is to come in and try to compete for a spot at camp. Joe Veleno had a really good rookie year for a 19-year-old to be playing in the American League and playing as he did. I think that says a lot about Joe and his future. And certainly, we're looking for him to compete coming into Detroit's camp next year. Michael Rasmussen, who spent the better part of his entire first year in the NHL because we didn't want to send him back to junior. We think it was a really good development year for Michael to be down in the American League. But I know Michael is anxious to try to take that next step and become a full-time NHLer. And then someone like Lidstrom, the fans got to see come up at the end of the year. Gus played almost I'd say probably 80% of the games we played down in the American League before he was recalled, and fans got to see him. So I think Gus is in a good spot to try to compete for a job at a camp as well. So Certainly the young players, the season that they had down there, I think it puts a lot of them in a position to look to take that next step in their development.
Last but not least, is there a message you'd like to send to Griffins fans?
Well, just thanks for their support. I think we've got some of the best fans in all the American League. Tim Gortzma and the ownership group of the Grand Rapids Griffins do a fantastic job. They're great. They're great partners. I think we've got one of the best affiliations in all the American League. And I'm as disappointed as any Griffins fan in terms of not being able to watch the Griffs play in the playoffs. But we're looking forward to rebounding and being back next year, the 25th anniversary season. So we're really excited about that.
Love it. What a milestone. Well, Ryan, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I hope you and your family stay well during this time, and I hope to see you very soon.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Carly.
Thank you. Daniela, back to you.